Now the Republican incumbent Marco Rubio is leading. And as we get ahead, we're about to get, when it comes to the Senate, we're about to get Ohio. And when it comes to the House, we get many more competitive districts, Jake, in the moments ahead. And again, results coming in Virginia, competitive districts in New Hampshire. We'll have a good sense in the next 30 minutes or so how the House is looking.
All right, John King, polls are closing in 3 more states. 2 of them, Ohio and North Carolina, have high-stakes U.S. Senate races, so we're watching very closely. So here is a key race alert. CNN is saying it is too early to call. Congressman squaring off for an open U.S. Senate seat. Too early to call. In North Carolina, another open Senate seat from another Republican retiring. That race as well between Cheri Beasley and Congressman Ted Budd. That race also too early to call. The overall balance of power right now in the U.S. Senate, Democrats control 36 U.S. Senate seats. Republicans control 30 U.S. Senate seats. 34 seats remain. Remember, Republicans only need to pick up 1 net Senate seats. Let's go to Boris Sanchez right now, who has a projection when it comes to governor's races. Boris.
Jake, this is our first projection in a governor's race for the evening, and it comes from the state of Ohio. There, incumbent Republican Mike DeWine thread a needle. He was both critical of Donald Trump after the January 6th insurrection and then earned the former president's endorsement after the Republican primary. He defeats the Democratic mayor of Dayton, Ohio, Nan Whaley. Let's get some key race alerts now, beginning with the state of Florida. Checked in, the former Republican governor turned Democratic Congressman Charlie Crist had the lead. Now it belongs to Ron DeSantis, more than 285,000 votes ahead, with 44% of the vote in Florida. Let's get an update now. Georgia, there, still very early, but legendary vote mobilizer Stacey Abrams is ahead. 73,000 votes against incumbent Republican Brian Kemp, only 13% of the vote in there. So we will likely watch that potentially change throughout the night as we turn it over to Casey Young, who has some Senate races.
We sure will. Thank you very much, Boris. And I do want to start actually in Georgia. We are starting to get some numbers where we can compare things a little bit. So let's take a look at this. Raphael Warnock sitting at 60.1%. But look at that Herschel Walker number, 38.5%. That is different from gubernatorial candidate Brian Kemp, who sits at 42.6%. So again, we want to check with John King on this, but some early signs that perhaps as expected, Herschel Walker's underperforming Brian Kemp, the gubernatorial candidate there. We still expect this race to tighten considerably, only 13% of the vote in here. Let's go now to Florida, where Marco Rubio has taken the lead, probably as many of you expected. He's sitting now at 54% to Val Demings' 45%. Florida's going to count these votes relatively quickly. We've got 45% of the vote in there, but we're obviously going to keep watching it through the night. Let's go north now, though, to New Hampshire, where we are just starting to get votes in to this state, which swings so often with a wave when we see one. Maggie Hassan out to a relatively early lead. Again, there's only a few thousand votes in here, but she's sitting at 59.2% to Don Bolduc's 39.6%. This is one where Republicans started to take more interest, were encouraged by how things were moving late, but Hassan's team has been feeling good throughout the night so far. We've got 1% of the vote in New Hampshire, Jake.
That's only 1%. Got a lot more votes to count.